Hello, everybody. Intuition here. Thank you, as always, for making time and space for us. Today, we would like to discuss the topic of ghosts. What are ghosts? Many individuals have many ideas, thoughts, wonders, a general consensus on what it is that they believe ghosts are, and we would like to shed our light on what it is that we see and understand ghosts to be. How we understand it, there are two different types of ghosts. There are the disembodied ghosts that are wandering around being creepy and scary and popping out of corners and scaring everybody. At least that is your understanding. And then there are the ghosts that are very much in bodies, scaring the hell out of people, creeping out of corners, being heebie-jeebie, weird. And in order to understand the human ghosts, it is easier to first go into depth about the disembodied ghosts. So when somebody dies, their soul, their essence, the universal principality that they are, become separated from that of the physical body that acts as a container for the energy in which we inherently are. And there are many things that we do right after we die. We made another video that you can watch and see, in which we go into depth about the different possibilities of what it is that you may or may not be doing after you are disembodied. So once you go through that death process after you are disembodied, you have different options. The options are you can move on in your evolution, and there are two different ways in which we understand most universal principalities that are disembodied move into their evolutionary process. They can choose a body in which they will then therefore continue to learn and understand themselves through the lens of the other, or they will go and choose to continue to be disembodied and learn through the lens of themselves all it is that they are. And both of those principalities, both of those evolutionary tracks, are very busy. If you are choosing either one of those, if you're choosing to get into a body for your evolutionary track and understanding of self, then you are busy stalking other families that it is that you are trying to adopt, setting up the right energetic, so to speak, to ensure that you are the first in line for this forever family that you are trying to move into. There are many steps in which take place and therefore taking up much of your time. Likewise, for the universal principality that is choosing to evolve within their own identification of self, they are busy transversing the universe. They are busy experiencing things that only a disembodied energy, a disembodied universal principality can understand. So both of those principalities, whatever evolutionary track they choose, are very busy. And I bring this up, I highlight, bold, emphasize this because they don't have time to be talking to you. You are not going to see a ghost generally that is sitting around waiting for a body or understanding themselves in their own evolutionary track through the lens of themselves and also sitting around talking to you. That just is not what it is that they have time for. They are transversing space, they are setting things up so that they have the perfect entryway into everything it is that they're trying to move into. So even the universal principality that is stalking their forever family does not have time to actually be talking to their forever family, because I don't know if you know about stalkers, but generally they're not sitting and talking to you. Even in physicality, they are sitting and watching you from the window. They're not sitting and talking to you from the window. So it is very similar in that idea that these universal principalities that are choosing their forever home through a physical body in which they plan on coming in through the mother, they're walking around and watching this family. They are not talking to you. They are not trying to creep up on you. They are not messing around with the lights. They are not the creep that you hear in the den where the floorboards are squeaky. It is none of those things. They're watching a very good distance away from you because they do not want to interfere and therefore get their energetics onto you, which would then therefore not give them a good read on if you would be the perfect forever soul family. So they are keeping their distance. Likewise, with the other evolutionary universal principality that is choosing to evolve on their own, they have no time for you. Let's just put it that way. They have no time for you. They're busy checking out black holes, going into stars and going out of stars, checking out what's on the moon, doing things. Why would they sit and talk to you? And then there is the latter, the ghosts. These are the ghosts in which you guys all seem to be fascinated and interested with. These are the ghosts that psychics are usually, more likely than not, channeling when they are talking to the disembodied and dead. Because as I said before, the other universal principalities that are on those evolutionary tracks don't care. They're not trying to talk to you. They're not trying to lead you on some kind of evolutionary growth. They're too full of themselves in a positive way to try and interfere with whatever it is that you have going on. So the ghosts are the latter of or the third, the odd man out of who it is that we're speaking of. The disembodied that are not wanting to move on, so to speak. They know that they need to move on, but usually they are too stuck on who they used to be that is making them a ghost. So really, it is, you become a ghost because you are holding on to your identity of who it is that you used to be. And usually that identity is wrapped in the personality lens and construct. So you are a ghost of who it is that you used to be. And that's why when you see ghosts, they're, for many people that see ghosts, walking around in human bodies, looking like the human body that they used to be. And that is because of their over-identification with what it is that they believe themselves to be right before or at the time of death, or the identification of self in which they are most attached to. So if they died as an adult, but they loved their childhood the most, then they're going to be attracted and attached to that childhood. So then therefore they're going to show up as a child. But again, these ghosts, these universal principalities are showing up because they are choosing on some level to not want to evolve into the next status of all it is that they can be. It is their over-identification or confusion. Maybe we will give them that, though it is not all ghosts that are confused. Many of them just simply want to hang on to the past, like an adult or an older adult that has peaked in high school and wants to hold on to their class ring and look through the old yearbooks. It is the same thing as that. They are not able to move on from their high school years and move into the adulthood that is waiting for them if they choose to want to evolve into all it is that they can be. They simply have an idea and an image that then therefore is holding them in a shadow of the past, in which they literally show up as the past. So these ghosts, again, remain and stay as ghosts. Maybe they are confused, though in what it is that we understand in many cases, it is the idea that they over-identify with their personality construct, and that personality construct, and wanting to still be within that personality or not wanting to move on from what that personality was giving them, they then therefore stay in the same place and refuse, become resistant, and their desire and want to move forward in what it is that they know on some level they must do in order to move on. So that is what we understand many ghosts to be, simply very, very resistant universal principalities that are choosing to stay within the confines and limitations of the past because they believe that their personality is going to perhaps resurrect them, perhaps give them closure from what it is that they believe they need closure from. And this is where we come into this idea of the ghosts that are walking around in bodies. Because does that sound like many people that you may or may not know? This idea that the personality and their over-identification of the past, which the personality likes to bring up much of the time, keep you in the past, forces you to make decisions from the past. The over-identification with the personality that then therefore inhibits you from making decisions based in the presence of all it is that you are, that then therefore stops you from actually moving forward and evolving into all it is that you inherently are and can be, but will never be if you are identified in the personality construct. Because that, again, is usually how ghosts happen. It is people that are in human form, that are over-identified with the personality construct, then die, then therefore still won't be able to move on from that personality construct that was holding them back in the first place. It is not as if you die and then you start transcending and all time and space and ascending back to where it is that you inherently come from. No, The same issues, struggles, challenges, more or less, that you faced here, as above, so below, you more than likely will face, but just the difference will be that you are disembodied. You'll have more of a, potentially, if you're not attached to the personality construct, you'll have more of a neutral understanding of the things that have happened to you, because again, if you're in body, then you have the personality lens, whereas if you're disembodied, you have more of a neutrality, because when you're disembodied, the personality lens does not really exist as much as it does when you are embodied. So then therefore you're not having the personality lens inform you as much. But again, if you were over-identified with that in your physical life, then you are going, when you pass away, then you as a disembodied universal principality are going to be reaching, holding on to what it is that you thought was making you human, which was your belief and understanding, your personality. But you were never really human to begin with, in the sense of what it is that you identify human to be. So the personality holds you back yet again, not only in human physical body life, but in the disembodied life when you transcend. Not all of us, but for some of us who are very, very much over-identified in the personality construct, that is potentially what it is that you will find. So there are individuals walking around in body, over-identified with the personality, allowing that personality to keep them in the image of the past, which then therefore does not allow them to move on to all it is that they say that they want to achieve and accomplish within their life. Because they're too afraid to actually move on, because the images of the past are so scary that it prevents them from actually doing what it is that they know they say they want to do. And if that sounds like you, then good thing you're hearing it now, because you can change it. You do not need to be living in the construct of your personality that's not even you to begin with. That is a series of images that are holding you back in the memory of the past and not keeping you in the present moment of all it is that you know yourself to be. So, stop being a ghost before your time. If you want to be a ghost, there's plenty of time for that when you pass on. But I assure you that if you stop being a ghost now, you won't see the draw in being a ghost when you pass away, unless you get your kicks out of scaring people and popping out of corners. But these ghosts that are scaring people and popping out of corners usually aren't really trying to scare people. That is not all of them. Some of them have nothing better to do. Some of them are just living out who they were when they were in body as a personality. They were scary, creepy, crazy people, and that transcends into them being disembodied and freaking everybody out. But for many ghosts, they're not trying to pop out and scare you. They're simply trying to relive their past and believing that if they hold on long enough, keep on believing, that they will receive the closure in which they think is existing within the personality construct and lens, which simply is not there. So, this is our understanding of ghosts. We hope that it makes sense. As always, we are full of gratitude for making time and space for us, and we wish you well in your ghostly ghouliness. Hopefully you just keep it contained to Halloween, but should you feel crazy and want to keep it going all year, then that is completely up to you and an equally valid understanding of yourself. Eventually, even ghosts transcend and pass on and move on to their evolutionary tract. It just takes them longer too. But eventually, we all get there. So, well wishes.